I'm Justin Mott, and welcome to my home in Hanoi, Vietnam. And if you're new here, I'm a professional photographer. I've shot over 100 assignments around the world for the New York Times. My work has been featured in a global Leica ad campaign, their witness campaign. So I'm like kind of a big deal. No, I'm actually not. I'm like slightly above average of a deal in photography. So that's kind of where I stand. Anyway, my channel is dedicated to all things photography from the perspective of a full-time working professional photographer. And today I'm going to dive into the work of a celebrity photographer. Not a photographer who's a celebrity, but a celebrity that's known for their photography. I hope that makes sense. So this is a brand new series that I'm thrilled about, with each episode featuring a different celebrity that is into photography. And who better to kick things off with than Academy Award winning actor, the dude, Jeff Bridges. No, he's not like gonna be here on satellite. Maybe if this gets some traction, maybe I will. So let's look at the work of the dude, Jeff Bridges. Alright guys, as always, don't forget to check out my online store at justinmott.com, where I've got presets, I've got prints for sale, and I've got my one-on-one classes. You can check all that out. And then for those of you that are interested in more in-depth learning for extra exclusive content, or you just want to support the channel, I've just launched my membership program. You can check that out. Just click the join button. It's $4.99 a month, and it comes with a ton of perks. I'll put all those in the description box. I'll have exclusive weekly live streams for members, member priority comments, a whole bunch of stuff, monthly assignments, things like that. Anyway, check that out in the description box, or just join right now. Okay, so let's dive in. But before I dive in, I want to talk about my intentions. I want to set the bar. I want people to understand what I'm trying to do here. This is not clickbait. This is not intended to be mean. This is not intended to trash celebrity photographers. It's nothing like that at all. I am just genuinely curious when I see that celebrities are into photography. Anytime I see an article about that, I click on it. I'm interested in it. I want to know more. I want to see how their work stacks up against my own. I want to see how their work stacks up against like other pros and just even really serious amateurs. I just want to see what they're interested in. I want to see how good they are and give them some unsolicited advice. And from my view, I understand photography is subjective. I understand not a lot of these celebrities want to be pros. So I just want to give my honest, genuine feedback. So this series will sort of be a bit of education, because I'm going to be teaching you about their work. I'm going to be offering them some advice about their images, talk about what I like, talk about what I don't like. And it's meant to be entertaining as well, because that's what they are. They're celebrities, and I think people are just more interested in their work because they're celebrities. So I picked Jeff Bridges because out of all the celebrities out there, he's probably the one that's most known for his photography. If you see him being interviewed on Jimmy Kimmel Live, he's got his camera with him. He talks about his photography. He talks about his camera. He talks about his purpose. He has a whole dedicated website to photography. He has published books of his work. He even sells prints of his work through his website. So he is the real deal. He's serious. I would consider him like also a professional photographer, in addition to being like one of the best actors ever. So yes, overall, I'm just a big fan of his work. I'm a big fan of him as a person. I hear him interviewed a lot. He's just like a really cool dude. He is kind of like the dude. The dude is the dude. So Jeff Bridges has also been interviewed all over the place about his photography, different photography magazines. The New York Times has interviewed him. There's an extensive article about his photography on the New York Times. I'll put a link to some of the articles about his work there. So I've collected some information. I've done a deep dive into his website. I'm going to talk about the gear that he uses. I'm going to talk about what he likes to photograph. I'm going to give you my thoughts about his work. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you what I think that he can improve on and what he does really well. So as far as what Jeff Bridges likes to shoot, as far as I understand, looking at his website, looking at his books, and reading articles and watching interviews with him, he likes to document, he likes to photograph his life as an actor. So he likes to take you behind the scenes. He does a lot of shots of himself, but he does a ton of shots of other actors, the camera crew, the whole production, everything that goes into making movies. And he's been doing it for decades. And here's his website. So I'll pull that up now. As you can see, yeah, a lot. He's always kind of pulling back. You see these really wide shots. I'll talk a little bit in a minute about what camera he's using and why. So yeah, as you just kind of go through a lot of behind the scenes at movie sets, again, he's bringing you into his world. That's what he likes to do. It's sort of like reportage style, but he does portraits as well, but reportage style of his life as an actor. And I find that interesting. So as far as gear that he uses, he's been interviewed extensively about this. He talks about a lot. This whole article's about the camera that he uses. He uses this Japanese film camera called a Widelux. It's a panoramic camera. The way that it shoots, it has very, very minimal distortion. So it's a wide-angle lens. It's that very narrow frame there. And it's kind of interesting. The camera like pans across like that when it takes a picture. It's like... I'm not like big into these kind of cameras, but I like that he's picked this camera with purpose. If you hear him talk about it, he likes the challenge of this camera. In the New York Times interview, he talks about it. He said what he likes is it kind of offers you the same view as the human eyes. He likes the challenge of using such a technically difficult camera, because it is. Just shooting film is technically difficult, but shooting a camera that has that like panoramic, filling a wide frame like that is really, really challenging. And you'll see through his work, he does quite a good job at doing that. So he picked a camera, he uses it with purpose, and he sort of like used that to define his style as a photographer. This camera is like a very big part of him. Kind of like how the Leica M10D is a big part of the way I like to shoot my personal work. So I can relate to him there, and I dig that he's put thought into it. And if you listen to his interviews, if you hear him talk about it, he's a deep thinker, he's an artist, he's a cool guy. Actually, if you hear him interviewed a lot, he's like, he is the dude. Like I don't think that was much of a stretch for his acting there. He kind of is that guy in a lot of ways. So before I dive into individual pictures and kind of critique them and talk about them, I want to talk about his website, because I think it's kind of cool that as an actor that he also has like a dedicated website. So his website's kind of funky. It's funky and it's clunky. It's got like its little quirks in it. Like maybe some of it's just because of the slow internet here in Vietnam, but I don't have any problem with a lot of other people's websites. So he's got a lot of these animations. I think it slows things down a little bit, but I think someone like him can kind of get away with it. So the website suits his personality. I find that interesting. The layout, he's got these wide shots here. The way he has it laid out is nice. I think he could put maybe some more thought into the way that he pairs them. Maybe that could be done better. I don't quite understand why so many of the images are repeated. You have this image here, and then next to it, you have the same image. I find that a little bit weird, the redundancy, because some of them are repeated and some of them aren't. Maybe there's something into that I don't know. I don't really understand that part of it. But yeah, as you can see, a lot of shots, a lot of different movies. I mean, he's in his 70s. This guy's been around for a while. He's been an actor for decades. And so he's worked with a lot of different celebrities, a ton of different movie sets, and he's been documented ever since. If you go to his print shop, it's quite expensive, I would say. So compared to like your average pro, because he sells non-edition prints, but he does sign them, and he is Jeff Bridges, and it doesn't look like he's using like a standard like print shop because they need a deposit. So I think he's using like a good printer to do his work. They're non-edition, they're not framed, and they're selling for like $1,000. So yeah, that's a lot, but again, it's Jeff Bridges, and you're getting his autograph, so I get that. He's got his books for sale on there, too. I haven't got my hands on one of his books, but that would be interesting to check that out. And the way he has his website laid out, besides the funkiness, besides all this kind of stuff, he's got other things about his life on here, too. But so as a body of work, as a collection of work, it's very focused, which is fine. I mean, that's what he's into. I think he's got to be a busy dude. He's in a bunch of different movies. He's probably doesn't have a ton of time to do this, so this is what he's doing when he has time, like in between takes and things like that. So he's observing, he's documenting, and he does a really good job at doing so. Like I said, he's taking us into his world. That's his purpose, that's his focus. So like when people say, oh, not that versatile, he doesn't want to be, he doesn't have to be. Well, I don't know if he wants to be, but he doesn't have to be. I mean, this is his world, this is what he's documenting. So I pulled up some of his images from the movie sets. I think like images like this, I think they're really powerful. I think he really does use that camera in a very interesting way. I mean, it's a hard camera to use technically. Any wide angle shot, it's hard to like fill that frame, and he does a good job with this. These are some images that I was just drawn to. I just like the little subtle moments. I mean, look at that beautiful light you see in the background coming through the trees. I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's his wife or if that's an actress, but I just like that she's on the swing, the moment that he captured her on there, on the phone. That's one of my favorite images of his. I love the light, I love the moment, I love the dress, and I just like that she's just kind of on the phone, and he just kind of captured it at the perfect time. I mean, artistically, I like this shot. I just like the way that three people are sort of sequenced there, and that, again, that beautiful light. The grain of the film works well there, the waves crashing, the movie set stuff just off to the left. Like, he's got these little subtle bits of the movie set in there, and on purpose, obviously. I mean, he's not just taking the frames that the director's setting up or the DOP is setting up. He's doing his own thing. He's pulling back, and I like that. I think it could be easy for someone photographing behind the scenes to just sort of shoot the director's shot or use their lighting to make your shot. You're just kind of mimicking what the director's doing. That wouldn't be any fun because it's just a still shot of what you see in the movie. But he doesn't do that, and I think it'd be very tempting to do that. I bet a lot of actors that are on sets like this that are into photography do that, but again, he doesn't. He pulls back, he offers these little glimpses. If you look here, you see the scaffolding here, and then, he has good composition. I love this shot here. You see all this going on off to the side, and you see this actor here, or extra. I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's someone famous or not. It's hard to tell. Someone's gonna tell me in the audience, oh, that's so-and-so. I'm like, yeah, okay, sorry, my bad. But composition of this, I love the negative space, I love the leading lines, I love just the way he has the person frame there and all the action here going on. Again, these little slices into the world. He has that great balance of having the actors, the scene, the movie in there, and then just a sliver of the production side, and I dig that. This is another one of my favorite shots of his here. Like again, this little sliver of the set. I like when he does this more. I like when it's just a sliver of that. I love to see him play with that a little bit more. Just a hint of the production in the shot. I like when he toys with that. It's very playful. So like the director's shot for this was probably something like this, and then he's just got this little bit in here. So I think it's clever. I think he's smart. I think he's thoughtful in his work. And then just kind of behind the scenes, these little moments. I mean, it's funny. It makes you laugh. Any photograph that evokes an emotion, which it does, this kind of makes me laugh. The actor's expression on his face right there. Just the way the composition is and the way the light's hitting him, I think it's kind of interesting. And then, just the way he's capturing these little subtle moments of the actors in between takes, not what you think of like this big glamorous movie production, these big glamorous actors. Here's just Benicio del Toro just like in a hoodie, just kind of hanging out, and you can see the other celebrities' names there, other people walking by. Again, that like hint of the production and then the actors' lives as well, because he has that in. He knows these actors, knows these famous people, but he's not just using them as famous people as just like, oh, that's a good picture because they're famous. It's, he's documenting daily life. He's doing this as like a photojournalist would, and he's doing a really good job at it. You can see his personality come through in his images, like these playful shots. Like I said, this one here, this scene here is just funny. It makes you laugh. They're all looking at him. Normally I don't like pictures with people looking at the camera, but I think it's funny. I think it makes sense. You have all these like extras here, whatever they're doing, all like wired up and in the garbage truck, and I don't know. It's just funny. It makes you laugh a bit. Then you've got this image here from Seabiscuit. This is the director, and I think that's Tobey Maguire on Seabiscuit, and that's like I heard the story behind this in an interview with him. And that's like the moment that they were like testing out. This was on Jimmy Kimmel. It was like they were testing out what it would look like on the horse for a lot of the scenes. I like when there's little moments like this. He does a lot of portraits as well, sort of these multiple exposure portraits. You can see this one here, this one here. A lot of famous actors, Matt Damon. This part I'll be a little more harsh on. I think he does this a lot in his portraits. I like to see him do like something more interesting than this. I think this is a little gimmicky, using the multiple exposure. It gets a little repetitive. Sort of the same thing, one expression, one shot, different expression, another. So if I'm gonna critique and be harsh, that's what I would say. I wish he would improve his portraits. Not that he can't do portraits, because if you look at a portrait here, I think that's Maggie Gyllenhaal. If you guys, I'm mistaken about these celebrities, like I'm not the best person for that, so I'm sorry. But I dig this kind of portrait. I think this really shows like the beautiful light, nice little moment. I just like it's a very intimate portrait. I wish that he would stay away from shots like these gimmicky double exposures and get more intimate portraits. And maybe he does have them, and they're just not presented on his website. And lastly, he's kind of like the king of the selfie. I mean, that might be one of the things that he's actually best at. I don't mean that in like a mean way. He's kind of awesome at selfies. I mean, look at this selfie from True Grit. It's awesome. I mean, just look at that layer there. He's just really good at these like random little selfies on movie sets with his buddies and things like that, but getting the light right and getting this exposed right and using that wide angle lens and filling the frame in a nice composition. He's really good at selfies, funny enough. It's kind of a weird thing to say. I've never really said that about a photographer when I critique their work, but he's excellent at selfies. So my final thoughts on Jeff Bridges and his work, the dude has chops. He does. Like, he's a talented photographer. He's thoughtful. He's an artist. He takes you into his world. He's a fantastic storyteller. His composition has purpose. He's playful with it. If I would knock anything, I would say I'd like to see less of the multi-exposure gimmicky portraits of the celebrities, less shots like this and more shots like this portrait of Maggie Gyllenhaal. I find the light, I find the expression, I find the mood, I find everything about this really interesting. And even just that shot of Benicio del Toro just sort of sitting there in the chair, that natural moment. I like to see more of that in his work. I'd also like to see maybe a little bit more emotion behind the scenes, like just some shots sprinkled in there of what it's like on a bad day when the crew's tired or an actor gets upset, or just some sort of emotion, things like that. But again, that's just what I'm drawn to. He's obviously drawn to different things. He's obviously a deep thinker. He obviously has purpose, and that's his purpose. Like, he likes to take you into his world as an actor, on production, on movie sets, and he does it really well. If I were to offer him some advice moving forward, I would love to see him try something different than using that wide lux camera and also just photographing movie sets. I'd like to see him do more with like an ordinary camera, photographing ordinary people. And that's not to say that he couldn't do it. I strongly believe that he could. I'm genuinely curious of what he could do in that world. I'd like to see him like document a story, like actually follow someone around for a couple days and do a deep story, or because he's been doing this for a long time and he's really good at it, but I'd like to just see him try something else. That would be fun. So if I was his teacher, that would be my advice. It's like, keep doing this because you're doing it well. It's becoming this amazing body of work, but I'd also like to see him, and maybe he has, and he just doesn't show it, so what do I know? But that would be my advice. Overall, man, he's a fantastic photographer. It's been fun to really dive into his work. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I had fun doing it. I had fun learning about him, critiquing his work. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, let me know. It'll motivate me to do more episodes like this. I've got a bunch of celebrities queued in my mind, but if you guys have some ideas, put those in the comment section, guys. So that's Jeff Bridges. That's his photography. Overall, fantastic. It's been a pleasure to look at his work. I hope you guys like this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to have a wonderful day.